Please welcome Chief Capitol Hill correspondent for NBC News, Ryan Nobles.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. I guess you've already been welcome. Thank you for still being here and not leaving early. I really want to thank my bosses at NBC News for freeing me from my most important job, and that's NBC's chief zoo correspondent. And the one thing I learned this week while covering the new addition to the zoo, if it's one thing that there is plenty of common ground in the United States on, it's that baby elephants are very cute. I learned that firsthand. And if you haven't been to the National Zoo to see the baby elephant, or the flirting pandas for that matter, I highly recommend it. I'm going to talk now about a different zoo that I cover every day, and that's Capitol Hill. And please join me in welcoming our panel from the House of Representatives, the distinguished gentlewomen, the Democratic representative from Michigan, Debbie Dingell, and Republican Representative Dingell and Malliotakis of New York.
Sorry, Debbie. How are you?
You can hug. That's okay.
Well, we do all the time.
Well, thank you guys both for being here. And I don't think many people think of the House of Representatives as being a place where people get along every single day. But I know you two have a lot that you work on together. And I want to point out a distinguished guest that we have in the audience, and that is Wonder Woman herself. Lynda Carter is here.
Oh, there she is.
And someone said to me, how does Lynda Carter get here? And I said, well, she has the invisible plane that she takes everywhere all around the world. If I can get a ride on that later, that would be great. But one of the and I know, obviously she's famous and wonderful, and we wanted to introduce her, but she has a tangible reason here, and that's because she's working with both of you to bring the Smithsonian's Women's History Museum to Washington, D.C., which is a huge endeavor that you both
going great.
Yeah. And I think that's a great place to start. Talk to me about why that's important and why you're dedicated to making that happen.
Well, women are a very important part of the history of this country. And there's so many stories people don't even know. Even if you go back to, we're celebrating the 250th anniversary of the country this year. People don't know the stories of the women that were involved. How many people know one woman signed the Declaration of Independence? So we believe strongly, we don't look at this as Democrats or Republicans or Wonder Woman. We look at it as people in this country should know the history of so many incredible women. Mm-hmm.
And can we make this happen? What's it going to take to make it happen?
Well, little by little, we're getting there. I think we have a lot of bipartisan support for the idea. We're moving along, and we did get it authorized. And I wasn't here at the time when it was actually authorized back in 2020, but since then I've taken up the cause, and I'm the prime sponsor along with Debbie to get the land transferred on the National Mall so it has its rightful place there with all the other Smithsonian museums. And like Debbie said, it is critically important. We want to know the stories of these amazing women who have come before us, who have helped build this nation. I think it's so critical for the future to learn about those women. And I know that, there's so many stories we could all share about women that we know that other people may not know. For example, in my district, we have the Black Angels, and they were African-American nurses who came in the height of segregation to help cure tuberculosis. And they were treating those tuberculosis patients and helped develop the cure. That's a story that should be in this museum.
Right. Terrific. Well, we often talk about the divisiveness on Capitol Hill, particularly in the House of Representatives. And there may be a lot of people that suggest that one of the reasons there's so much divisiveness is because of this mad rush of gerrymandering and redistricting. And we're in a current era where we're seeing kind of gerrymandering on crack, if you will, where we have all these different states, both Republican and Democrat, that have changed their maps. Congresswoman Malliotakis, you represent a district that is in a blue state, and you have criticized your own party for the efforts that they've made in redistricting in other parts of the country. And you've actually introduced a bill that would ban this mid-decade redistricting that we're dealing with right now. Why is that important in terms of trying to find common ground on Capitol Hill?
Well, I think gerrymandering is wrong, regardless of which party does it. And I've been critical when Republicans have done it. I've been critical when the Democrats have done it. I've been the victim of it myself. As you know, just going through this every 2 years, having a legal fight over my current lines. I'm the only competitive district in the city of New York. And I believe strongly that we need competitive districts. If we don't have competitive districts, you end up with either a far left or a far right representative. And that's really what's polarizing Congress today, is that you don't have people meeting in the middle. And I think that if you have competitive districts, and they should be drawn, I believe, using artificial intelligence in the future. It should be independently drawn using AI models that make them as competitive as possible. Because number one, your representative has to work to be reelected. They can be held accountable because those districts are competitive. And you don't end up with these far right and far left members who really come to disrupt the institution as opposed to actually, I think, finding common ground solutions.
Yeah, Congresswoman Dingell, at one point, your house was redistricted out of your district. So you've been on the front lines of this. I mean, I keep going back to the shutdown. We had the longest shutdown in history over the fall, full government shutdown. We're in the midst of the longest partial government shutdown right now. Would there be less shutdowns if we had less gerrymandering?
I hope we just start getting less shutdowns, period. Right, yeah. I want to pay the TSA workers to be blunt. But I'm someone, I hadn't thought about the AI approach. We hadn't gotten that far. But I do believe in independent commissions. Michigan our last redistricting was done by an independent commission, and they tried to make more competitive seats. And it was difficult for me because I lived in Dearborn, and they put it in with the Detroit district, and the rest of my district was in another district, and I felt that there should be the opportunity for, if you have fair representation, that there should be an African-American member of our delegation. So it was very hard. I've lived in the same house that I've lived in with John for, almost a long time, decades. But it was difficult. But I support independent commissions. I think this has been, Nicole was in the courts even this year. And we're trying to be bipartisan tonight. I don't think the process should ever have started, and you have to fight fire with fire. And I hope everybody's learned a lesson, and more states go, like my state is, to an independent commission that can use AI as a tool in doing it.
Okay. Let's talk about another divisive issue on Capitol Hill, since we're talking about finding common ground, and that's immigration. And it seems like every time we start a conversation about immigration, automatically both sides retreat to their polar opposites. And it's hard to find that common ground. Congresswoman Malliotakis, you've been willing to buck your party. You have a large Haitian community in your district. You have supported temporary protective status for Haitians, even though the White House has been opposed to that. Members of your own party have been opposed to it. Why is that important to you? And where do you find places where there can be common ground on immigration?
Well, I think people think I have a large Haitian population simply because I voted for that bill, and the truth is I don't.
Okay.
I actually don't. I voted for it for two reasons. One, it was moral reason. Number one, I mean, this is a country was given TPS status simply because they are in civil unrest. They had assassination of their president. They don't have a government. They have gangs overrunning it. And the State Department has a level 4 security for Americans not to travel there. Right. So to send individuals back at this time, I think, is just misguided. But I have a practical reason, too, and it is because my district, we do have healthcare workers that are Haitian, and nursing homes that I've spoken to, they will lose qualified, skilled workers that are serving as health assistants if these individuals were stripped of their status and deported. I think we need to be, and no one has really been, I think, more vocal, at least in New York City, about illegal immigration. And I've been very forceful on this issue of needing to secure the border, deport criminals, but I think we need to be practical. As a daughter of immigrants, I could tell you that if we have people here that are working, they're paying taxes, they're doing everything right, they're following the law, they're not committing crimes, why would we send them back at a time when we need them for economic or for health care needs? It makes no sense. And so we're trying to press upon the administration that we need to be reasonable as we approach immigration, not just do these cookie cutter things and throw the baby out with the bathwater. I think that was what I was trying to get across in terms of a message there. And that's why I voted for it.
Yeah, it's interesting. The word I picked up on when you were talking there was practical, Congresswoman. It feels like it's rare that either side takes a practical approach to immigration. Is that one of the things that both sides need to do to try and find some sort of common sense solution to this problem?
Look, we have needed comprehensive immigration reform through Republican presidents and Democratic presidents. And we need to get it done. All of us, I don't care who you are, want criminals off the street, people that are threatening us. You know, we've got DACA students who have been here, and they're not students anymore. But they've been. They don't even. You know, we need to give them a pathway to citizenship. And by the way, President Trump said he supported that in his first term. We also, as Nicole talked about, I mean, you look at the caregivers. 40% of the caregivers in this country are people that are from other countries, and they're wonderful people. Farmers need help. Small businesses need help. There are a lot of industries that are screaming because they can't get people to fill jobs. So we need to look at all the needs. We need to secure our borders. We need to keep ourselves safe. But we also need common sense, comprehensive immigration reform.
Yeah. One of the slides that Steve didn't put up when he was talking about kind of broad-based support or a broad-based consensus on things was Americans' opinions of Congress. And I don't think I have to tell either of you that Congress is not the most. Yeah, members of Congress are not the most popular people. But in part, it's because of this sense that it's just so hard for you guys to get anything done. And I don't have to tell you guys these stats, but we had 3 House members resign just in the last week for a wide variety of reasons that we don't need to get into. But we've already had 58 members of the House announce that they're going to retire this year. What does that tell you about the working environment that you guys are in? Is it toxic right now? And is there a way out of that toxicity?
We have to have a way out. You know, I'm not... People do make their own life decisions, but I'm staying to fight. I believe in this institution. I believe in this democracy. We've gone through tough times before in our history, and you fix it by staying at it and working together, not being part of the problem or walking away.
Congresswoman?
I think that I just think the environment is a tough environment, right? I mean, like, social media, I think, changed everything, right? It made the job more miserable, I would say. Yeah. But I came in after the social media, so this is the only thing I know. But what I would say is it has made it difficult. You know, just take this vote on the TPS, for example. Right. I mean, the attacks that you get for doing what you think is right, you just have to be able to tolerate and ride through that. You know, and a lot of members can't, or they don't want to, or they feel it's not worth it. The death threats, you know, they're concerned about safety for their family. And themselves. So I think all of that plays into the minds. I would not be surprised if a lot of these members are not running because their spouses have convinced them not to because of the threats that they've received. Yeah. But I do think that, you know, we are able to achieve some good things. I mean, so we were able to pass significant historic infrastructure funding. We were able to work together, Debbie and I, on PBM reform to reduce prescription drug prices by eliminating the middlemen that were driving up the costs. We're able to do things if you actually talk to each other and work together, and that's why we're both members of the Problem Solvers Caucus, which, you know, it's a good group, and it opens up that dialogue. We don't always agree, but we do find some common ground, and we endorse legislation that oftentimes do make it to the floor. And those two are examples. The infrastructure and the PBM were two perfect examples of real bipartisan measures where, by the way, the fringes on the far left and the far right voted against the bill, but you had the majority of the members in the middle support it, and I think overall they were very good pieces of legislation. The thing is that sometimes I find some of the fringes, they want all or nothing. Right. And so if they don't get everything they want, the bill's no good, and that's not the way government works. You have to try to find some common ground. If you could support overall the majority of the bill, then it's a good bill and you should vote for it. It's like what Mayor Koch used to say in New York City. If you agree with 6 out of 12 things, I forgot. I'll think about it and say it again. If you agree with me 7 out of 12 times, you should vote for me. If you agree with me 12 out of 12 times, you should seek a psychiatrist.
That's it, right? Good, you got it. Well, before you guys go, I started the day talking about animals and my trips to the zoo, but I know you guys are both passionate about animals. You both serve on the Animal Protection Caucus. You co-sponsored the Better Care for Animals Act. Congresswoman Malliotakis, you are well known among the press corps for your dog Luna, who you often carry in your bag.
That's right.
It's a she, right?
She's not here today. She had a scheduling conflict.
I was going to say, we were very disappointed she didn't make it out on stage. But would the two of you lead bipartisan legislation to bring more dogs into the workplace? Would that be a positive thing?
Absolutely.
Why not? I mean, who could be against that? They keep you calm. We need more people. We need therapy.
We definitely need pet therapy. And when we were going through the thousand of rounds of electing a speaker last year after the sudden departure of Kevin McCarthy, it got very stressful and tense in that Republican conference room. And I would bring in Luna, and it was like it was pet therapy. It really brought the temperature down. But yeah, look, I'm an animal lover. She's an animal lover. I think that's an area. Food and animals is pretty much where Republicans and Democrats, no matter where they are in the spectrum, can find some common ground. And the truth is, I think the people we have the best relationships with are the ones that we've either traveled or have had social interaction. I mean, because you'll be surprised who you end up working with, in politics. There's people that I walked into there saying, there's no way I could ever work with that person. They're too extreme, or I just really don't agree with their politics. And then we actually end up finding something. And I've been surprised quite a few times.
So it looks like
relationships matter. I want to say that.
Yeah.
Every time I talk to, I'll say call somebody, that a text is not talking to somebody. It's not, period. And if you trust somebody, you can work out deals. You can't I agree, that's another area we agree on. Social media is without fail one of the worst things that's happened to this country. It may be good but and relationships matter in building that trust. I go and sit on the Republican side on the floor a lot.
And just talk to people.
I mean, quite frankly, I hide over there sometimes.
Well, I think we figured it all out. More communication. Baby tiny dogs and baby elephants, and we'll solve all the problems on Capitol Hill. Is that what it'll take?
From your lips to God's ears.
and more women in Congress.
More women.
Yeah. All right. Congresswoman Dingell, Congresswoman Malliotakis. Wonder Woman, thank you for being here. Thank you so much for a really great conversation.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.